Hello, my name is Hannah Hosley, and today for my social movement, I'll be presenting to you the Black Panther Party. A bit of introduction. As I mentioned previously, my name is Hannah Hosley. I am a junior mass communications major with a minor in sociology. The Black Panther Party was founded in 1966 in Oakland, California by Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale. The movement began in the wake of the assassination of Malcolm X and the death of an unarmed black teen named Matthew Johnson after he was shot and killed by San Francisco police officers. It was originally known as the Black Panther Party for self-defense, but eventually became known as just the Black Panther Party. The Black Panther Party was known as a political and social movement whose advocates believed in racial pride, self-sufficiency, and equality for all people of Black and African descent. The party's original purpose was to patrol African American neighborhoods and protect residents from acts of police brutality. Unlike Martin Luther King and the Civil Rights Movement, whose movement was built on nonviolent protests, the Black Panther Party retaliated with physical action when necessary. Why is this movement relevant to my life? As we've seen in the last few years, many movements have highlighted the injustices of Black people due to systemic racism and discrimination. One of the biggest movements at the moment is Black Lives Matter. The Black Panther Party played a key role in introducing proactive movements to the Black community. Many of the foundational values found in the Black Panther Party can be found in the Black Lives Matter movement as well, and as someone who is Black in America, this affects my life greatly. Oftentimes, people believe that the Black Panther Party were an anti-white organization, but that was not the case at all. Bobby Seale once said, and I quote, "We don't hate nobody because of color. We hate oppression." At the time, many Black people were often negatively portrayed in the media, usually as thugs, poor, and uncivilized. The Black Panther Party took all of the negative stereotypes and completely flipped them. They preached self-love, whether it be through wearing their natural hair, to protecting the Black people in the community, rather than hurting each other. In addition to protecting Black communities, they organized a free breakfast program for 20,000 children each day, as well as free food programs for families and the elderly. They also sponsored schools, legal aid offices, clothing distribution, local transportation, and health clinics, all drawn by the support of the Panthers. Here's a bit of background facts. The Black Panthers Party outlined their organization's views and political objectives in a 10-point program. The program called for immediate end to police brutality, employment for African Americans, land, housing, and justice for all. They also fought for the unification for civil rights. Although the Black Panther Party were usually portrayed as gangs, their primary goal was getting more African Americans elected into political offices. This made them a big target for police officers and the FBI. The Black Panther Party were involved in numerous violent encounters with the police. In 1967, founder Huey Newton allegedly killed an Oakland police officer named John Frey. He was convicted of manslaughter in 1968 and sentenced to 2 to 15 years in prison. The court decision was later reversed. Another case involved Eldridge Cleaver, editor of the Black Panthers newspaper, and 17-year-old Black Panther member and treasurer, Bobby Hutton. They were both involved in a shootout with police in 1968, which left Hutton dead and 2 police officers wounded. The party also had enemies higher up. The Black Panthers' message made them a target for a secret FBI counterintelligence program called COINTELPRO. In 1969, they were declared a communist organization and an enemy of the U.S. government. J. Edgar Hoover called the Black Panthers one of the greatest threats to the nation's internal security. These are some of the news articles that I have on the Black Panthers. One of these is from 1968, and it's an article from the Seattle Times, which was a warning from Seattle Mayor James DeOrmer Brayman to the Black Panthers. The article states that Mayor Brayman warned members of the Black Panther Party that police will move against anyone trying to take the law into their own hands. The message came after members of the Panthers entered the principal's office of Rainier Beach High School carrying rifles, apparently unloaded. Mayor Brayman then went on to say that, quote, "It has boiled down to about 1 or 2% of the Black population causing all our racial troubles. This cannot be tolerated. I am very proud of the vast majority of our Black population for their cooperative attitudes," end quote. Based off this article, it can be inferred that to the mayor and students and parents of Rainier High School, the Black Panthers were a violent and dangerous group. There's a negative view of the Panthers, and the article highlights how the community is fearful of them. Brayman even says that the Black Panthers have been displaying two viewpoints, quote, one of purportedly seeking to allay racial tensions, and the other of causing serious trouble. On the opposite end, this article written by a journalist from the Afro-American Journal, it isn't the Black Panthers who are violent, it is the white people who are. The article is about the death of a Black brother from Chicago named Sidney Miller, who was shot and killed by a white man who the article refers to as the Beast. Unlike the other article, which paints the Black Panther members as the ones inciting violence, this article states that this perception is false. The article reads, quote, it signals a stepped-up campaign on the part of the guardians of the power structure to fight the phantom in their minds in which they regard as aggressive Black power, end quote. The article then states that it is a high possibility that the media will rationalize white racism by not telling the whole story. The author then goes on to say that the death will be minimized because he had not been white. The article ends with the line, quote, there's justice to come from the Uncle Tom who hears no evil, sees no evil, but does irreparable evil to the causes of the Black man, end quote. This article is a lot different from the previous article because it is essentially a Black Panther member talking about themselves. The author views themselves and Sidney Miller as the ones who have been wrongly inflicted with pain, and the white man who murdered in cold blood as violent and evil. This 1971 article from the New York Times is about the Panther 21 trial, in which 21 Black Panthers were arrested and charged with conspiracy to bomb police stations and other public places in New York. The number was later dropped to 13. Members of the Panthers were arraigned in court before Judge Charles Marks with the bail set at $100,000. The Panthers worked together to get bail money for Afeni Shakur and Jamal Joseph, and then had Shakur and Joseph work to raise money for the other Panthers. Many of the members were housed at Rikers Island. This article discusses the further details of the trial. Charges were brought against the Black Panther Party, including attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder, conspiracy to bomb buildings, and conspiracy. At the time, the trial was the longest and most expensive in New York State history. In May 1971, all members of the Panther 21 were acquitted. Unlike the previous article, there seemed to be less bias. This article was written by the New York Times, which is considered one of the most reputable newspapers then and even now. The other news articles were in opposition of the other side, while this article mentioned nothing but the facts and details of the trial. Conflict theory was the most evident of the theoretical perspectives in regards to the Black Panther Party and white supremacists. Conflict theory is based upon the idea that society is composed of different groups and interests competing for power and resources. This specific subsection of conflict is race. On one hand, there's the Black Panther Party seeking more power and resources for the Black community during the time of segregation, and on the other hand, there are the white supremacists who wish to maintain the power that they already had. Two of the biggest things that the Black Panther Party fought for were rights and opportunities. During a time where many Black people were not allowed these basic needs, it affected all other aspects of their lives, including their housing, resources, and food availability. There was a large gap of inequality and dominance, with many of the ruling class being rich white males. The Black Panther Party closely connects with the book Freedom Summer. Not only do they take place during the same decade, but they also deal with young adults fighting for the same issues. Two of the Panthers' biggest goals were equal rights and opportunities. Those involved in the Freedom Summer movement were aiming for these exact same things, but more specifically for voting. Freedom Summer occurred in 1964 and was a voter registration drive aimed at increasing the number of registered Black voters in Mississippi. Unlike the Black Panthers, though, those involved in the Freedom Summer pledged to have nonviolence in all situations. The movements were similar because both involved the deaths of members at the hands of KKK members and racist police officers. An example of this occurred during the Freedom Summer movement. 3 members named James Chaney, Andrew Goodman, and Michael Schwerner were murdered by members of the KKK. Schwerner, a white Jewish man, was murdered for helping and assisting Chaney and Goodman, 2 Black men. The book highlights other deaths, including Emmett Till, a young boy who was killed in 1955, Mississippi, for allegedly whistling at a white woman. The book is quoted in saying, "And when custom and subtle of intimidation did not deter Blacks from trying to register, there was always violence." These are the references that I have for my presentation. I used the Black Panther Party challenging police and promotion of social change from the National Museum of African American History and Culture. I used History.com on the Black Panthers. I used news coverage from 1968 through 1977, Seattle Civil Rights and Labor History Project. And I also used the Public Broadcasting Service, PBS. Thank you. My name is Hannah Hosley again. This is my social movement's final presentation, and you can reach me at hhosley@students.asurams.edu. Thank you.